And don't forget, everybody else that stopped watching 5 minutes ago, they don't know this. Hello and welcome to Driving with John. I just wanted to say today that I am really appreciating everybody that's watching this and liking the videos and, subscribing down there if you haven't yet. It's just amazing. You guys are all amazing people. So today's going to be a little bit of a more serious video. Something that I think needs to be said, and it has to do with growing up. I mean, let's all be serious here, okay? I was raised by two parents. They weren't perfect. They made mistakes, okay? I'm not letting that shape the rest of my life. I'm a parent. I'm sure I've made plenty of mistakes. My kids will be more than happy to tell you about it. But that better not shape the rest of their life either. What your parents did when you were a child, yes, some of the stuff could have been really wrong. I don't know your situation. But don't let that shape you for the rest of your life. I can't think of a better way to say it than, just kind of, man up or woman up and become a better person because of it. Don't let that shape you. Don't stay in the past. I mean, I have a lot of personal feelings about this because not only do I personally have feelings about it, my parents did, I think, a pretty good job. But yeah, I think there was a couple of mistakes they made, and they're not perfect, No parent is perfect. Your parents did not try to maliciously hurt you. So just leave it in the past, forgive them even if they haven't apologized, and grow up and be an adult now and take your future into your own hands. Don't be a victim to something that happened many years ago. I mean, I have a couple different situations in my family where I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but on my side and my wife's side, that they blame their parents for everything. And I don't understand. Like, they're grown adults, years and years and years removed from childhood, and they still harp on childhood things. If there's a perfect parent out there, I've never met them. I don't think they exist. I think that whole thing where your parents decide your future is BS. I'm sorry, I don't know how else to say it, and I'm not going to swear, but it's kind of amazing to me that people can go through their entire life and accomplish nothing because all they keep doing is looking back and saying, well, because my parents did this, I can't do this. Because my parents did this, I can't do this. It doesn't make sense. The only person holding you back is you. So I really doubt the people that, in my family and my wife's family that think like that, I really doubt they'll watch these videos. So this is more for anybody else out there. If you went through something horrible as a child, yes, it was horrible. And I'm sorry that happened to you. But don't let that define you. Don't let that be who you are. Move past that and become an even better parent, an even better person. Forgive them. If they're still in your life, forgive them. They're not perfect, and guess what? You're not a perfect parent either, or you won't be when you grow up and have kids. So that's, it's kind of, I know this is going to upset some people because I know people are going to watch this video and think I'm talking directly to them. I'm not. I'm talking directly to everybody because I think this is across the board. We all do it a little bit. I mean, my wife and I have had this conversation many, many times because I feel like there were things in my past that my parents didn't do that I overemphasize now to make up for it. Like, for instance, my parents never said I love you. It didn't shape me. It didn't make me a different person. I knew they loved me, but it would have been nice to hear it now and then. So for my kids, we say it all the time. And yeah, my wife says it devalues it a little bit, and it probably does. But I'd rather have it said than not said, you know? And another example of that is, I'll use myself because my parents have both passed away, and the only person I'm offending is myself, so it's easy to use me as an example, and hopefully somebody can, like, you know, apply that to their own life, okay? Another example of that is, when I was in school, my parents never put guidelines on me. They basically just said, they never even said it, but it was obviously implied. As long as I passed, that's all that mattered. And that's all I did, was pass. They never set a standard higher than that for me. And you know, again, I don't blame them for that. Yes, they could have done better, but you know, we all can do better, so whatever. But my point of bringing that up is, looking back on it, I was so smart about being stupid. I mean, I literally would get the class, I forget what they're called, agendas or whatever they're called, and I would see what was due that year, what I had to do, what I didn't have to do, so that I would get exactly a 70, which was passing back then. Apparently it's 60 now, which is really lowering the standards, people, but whatever. And I would do exactly what I had to do to get a 70. So, I mean, I put a lot of work into not doing well, which is really stupid. But back then, it wasn't a priority in my life, so, you know, I guess that's how it works out. But that's a perfect example. Like, my parents never actually came out and said, all we care about is that you pass. But if I passed, they didn't say a word. If I failed, then they would say, you know, you need to get your grades up. So obviously all that mattered is I passed. So that's what I did. And, you know, my kids, they'll tell you I'm strict about it. Like, if I don't see A's and B's, I'm upset. Because I know my kids are capable of A's and B's. You can't put your kid to do something more than they're capable of. My kids are all extremely smart. They're all extremely gifted. They get all of that from my wife. Sorry, they do. I mean, I'm not stupid in any way, shape, or form, but my kids obviously get their talents from my wife. They get their sense of humor from me. Good thing, because that's all I have, you know? Sorry. All right, this is supposed to be a serious conversation. So, that's basically the gist of the whole thing. I think people go through life and they look back at what their parents did, and they can live in the past and it can hold them down their entire life. Or there's millions of success stories, millions of videos on YouTube all over the place where people have grown up in horrible situations. I mean, abusive, just degrading, just unhumane, horrible service, horrible childhood. You know, some of them didn't even have parents, and they grew up and they put all that behind them and they became successful. How did they do that? Because they don't live in the past. They don't focus on things that happened, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. They don't focus on that. It doesn't matter. It happened, yes. It sucked, yes. But you know what they do? They look at the future. They see what they can do to improve their life. And that's what they do. So, it's kind of crazy that people, they just let things that happened to them 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you know, in my case, 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, change them as a person. And it just doesn't make sense. So, the people do that. I mean, I don't understand it. I understand the willingness to kind of stay in the past, because it's hard to get over these things. I mean, I was kind of lucky. I actually had good parents that, you know, yes, they didn't say I love you, and yes, they didn't push me very hard, but they were there, you know. They did a good job as parents. So they made mistakes, as I make plenty of mistakes too, and I'm sure you do too. And there's no such thing as a perfect person. I mean, I heard this recently, and I really liked the saying. There's no such thing as a perfect person. There was actually one perfect person, and they crucified him. So, you know, what's that tell you? So, just if you feel like I'm talking to you, then that means this fits your situation. Right now, let it go. Forgive them. Don't bring it up again. Just focus on your future. Focus on what you're good at. You know, try something new. Try, you know, whatever it takes. Just don't let it become who you are. Because all you're doing is affecting the rest of your life and affecting the rest of your kids' lives. Show them the example that you want them to be. Because guess what? If you have kids and they grow up and they see you treating your parents badly or saying bad things about your parents, what goes around comes around. So, that's all. Just, I'm sorry to bring such a heavy, hard subject out today, but I just thought it needed to be talked about. So, and it was something that was in my head, and so I really appreciate everybody that's watching. Please comment below. Tell me what you think. I mean, if you think that your life, you know, could have gone better or worse, or am I right? Do you think my opinion on this is right? That sometimes you just kind of need to forgive and grow up and move past it? You know, I'd like to hear some comments about it. The comments are way down the bottom. You got to scroll all the way down the bottom and make a comment. And while you're down there, by the way, you can like it over there. I hope I get this right because I keep messing it up. Like it over there and subscribe over there if you haven't subscribed yet. And don't forget, everybody else that stopped watching 5 minutes ago, they don't know this. Big announcement coming in March. Stay tuned.